The Kremlin issued a strong denial today of reporting that Russia offered bounties to Taliban-affiliated forces to kill U.S. troops in Afghanistan. Here's what Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told our own Keir Simmons.
This is really ridiculous to spread this kind of information.
You don't think that, well, if it did happen, do you believe it would?
Maybe I can sound a little bit rude, but this is a 100% bull. It's non-diplomatic thing, but it's a bull.
The New York Times reports that U.S. intelligence officers and commandos warned their superiors as early as January over the suspected Russian plot to pay the Taliban bounties on U.S. troops. The Times reports that according to two U.S. officials, quote, they believed at least one U.S. troop death was the result of the bounties. With us for more, Brett McGurk, the former special presidential envoy for the Global Coalition to Defeat ISIS. He's also a distinguished lecturer at the Center for International Security and Cooperation at Stanford University. And Michael McFaul, former U.S. ambassador to Russia. His book is titled From Cold War to Hot Peace, an American ambassador in Putin's Russia. Both are analysts for us. Thank you both for joining us. Michael McFaul, let me start with you and pick up this discussion we were having a few minutes ago on the topic of this new reporting from the New York Times that apparently this information, this intelligence was in the president's daily briefing. I guess there are two questions here. We were litigating the first in the last block over whether the president should have been aware of that if it was in there. The second question, and the one I want to ask you about, is if it was in the daily briefing, but it was not offered to him one-on-one, it was not offered to him in person by officials, does that say anything about the confidence of the intelligence community and how solid the information was?
Well, not in my opinion. And I want to underscore, I worked 3 years at the White House at the National Security Council before going to Moscow. And for something to get into the PDB, the Presidential Daily Briefing, that is not just some think this, some think that. That is a very precious piece of property that the entire intelligence community fights over to get their reporting in there. So if this reporting is true in the New York Times, I have no reason to believe that it's not. That means that there was enough confidence that it made it into the PDB. That in and of itself is a major statement. Now, on the second piece about whether he was briefed or not about it, in the Obama administration, the intelligence community came to the White House, to the Oval Office every single day and briefed the president directly. By the way, they didn't want political appointees like me filtering that information. They wanted a direct shot at the president. And then we added detail to that, right? Now, it sounds like President Trump does not do that on a daily basis. But remember, the PDB goes to the National Security Advisor. It goes to other top senior administration officials. So I would hope that the National Security Advisor, seeing this shocking intelligence along the way, we're talking about weeks and months of time with the president, would have at least told him about it, especially before he was making several phone calls to Vladimir Putin, especially before he was inviting Putin to join the G7. Those are policy decisions, and the National Security Advisor and his team is supposed to advise the president. So I don't think this alibi stands up if you think about how it's supposed to work, but maybe it doesn't work at the Trump administration in the White House today. I don't know.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.